So just a minute ago, I was watching this squirrel, and the corn cobs were not in a position such that it could reach any of the kernels. So it sort of did a little whirl around on the corn cobs. You know, it tried to grab one, and it was not working out, so it grabbed a hold of the whole corn cob and spun around, and it brought the squirrel back onto the little seat or shelf. So it's up there now, finishing off some kernels that it is able to get to. I'm going to turn this off until it gets done with those kernels, and then turn it back on to watch it try to get to the other kernels on the end of the longest of the cobs. So when it grabbed the last kernel that it's eating right now, it kind of mistakenly pushed that cob a little further away. See, it did it again. Now, it's kind of got the knack of grabbing a hold of a kernel, and pulling it off before it makes all of the cobs move. But sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes I guess maybe a corn kernel is too firmly attached, and it has to exert some pressure in the opposite direction in order to pull it off. Well, we'll see what's going to happen as this cob gets further away from the squirrel. I have gone from a squirrel hater to somebody who is really entertained and intrigued by their antics, because what happens is I'm watching and I see these squirrels learning from their experience is basically what's happening. And you know what? It actually kind of cheers me up, because recently especially, I've had some things happen, some experiences in my own life, and it makes me feel like, oh, sigh. But I'm looking at the squirrel, and it seems like, I don't know if animals have emotions or not. Who knows? Who knows if we'll ever know? But they don't seem to be set back by setbacks. Like if the squirrel is trying to get to the corn kernels and it's not working out, why, it just goes on and tries another way, and it keeps on trying until it can finally get what it wants. And I think, as human beings, at least it's my experience, that sometimes we end up sort of sitting in our own little pity party and just feeling kind of down and like, this didn't work. And it doesn't occur to us, well, to me sometimes, until maybe I'm watching a squirrel, it doesn't occur to me to say, well, hey, let me try something else. Let me move on from here. If I was the squirrel behaving the way I sometimes do when dealing with my emotions, when I couldn't get that, see, when that happens, when it's trying to get the kernel off the cob, instead of, if necessary, hanging upside down, climbing onto the tree, clinging on, trying to figure out, what am I going to do here? How am I going to get to it? I'd be sitting there going, I didn't get it. I didn't get that kernel I wanted. Oh, I didn't get it. I'd be sitting there not doing anything, thinking about what I didn't get, instead of saying, okay, now, all right, pull yourself together. what can I do differently to try to get what I want? Or maybe I should just try what I did again and see if it will work. Sometimes repeating things enables you to get better at them. Of course, sometimes repeating them is just plain crazy. It doesn't work, it is not going to work, it is never going to work. So, we have to evaluate those things. Sometimes it helps to have the input from a friend to help us tell the difference between where do we need to persevere and where do we need to move on and try something different. So, yeah, it does help to have the input of friends. So I'm just watching this squirrel here. I don't want to move. I don't want to miss anything. He's just chewing on his corn kernel. And soon he'll be ready for another one. So where will he go? Will he go off to the side, to the cob that has many kernels on it at the end, or on the bottom where there's just a couple of kernels? Uh-oh. All right, what now? What now? Oh my goodness. So he's getting very good at this. It may not be working out exactly the way he wants. The way he wants is probably that there just be a bowl of corn kernels that he could just sit there and just chow down on. Isn't that how we want it in life? Just hand it to me and let me have it and not have to work for it. But I think as people, eventually we would not be happy with that. The saying, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. I think that without challenges in life, we would become discontented and bored and unhappy. Really, it's the challenges, difficult though some of them may be, it's the challenges that kind of keep us going, that make us work and give us experience and help us learn. Gee, there's a lot to be learned from watching squirrels. Who knew? So yeah, I started off saying I've gone from a squirrel hater to somebody who really enjoys watching them. My gosh, I've been spending more time watching the squirrels than I have watching the birds recently. If you notice, let's see if I can point this out. See right here, right at the bottom of the squirrel feeder, the tree sort of has a little area where the trunk how the trunk comes out right there. And the squirrels, where are you, squirrels? Birds, where are you? I'm looking for something to let y'all see while I'm talking. Okay, so undaunted by the moving corn cobs, the squirrel just keeps working at it. I love this. I love it. I have to keep in mind that all these years that I disliked squirrels because I was only looking at them in terms of them disrupting my bird feeders, that there were, and also, I disliked them because they would chew holes and get into my attic and run inside the walls and chew up the electric wires in the attic. Yes, that happened where I used to live. So yeah, I did not like squirrels, but okay. Now I'm at a place and a location in my life where I'm finding a way to enjoy them, to be engaged by their antics, their inventiveness, their persistence. Oh, now he's got that corn cob facing up, so it's going to be a lot easier to get to. And notice, At the bottom there is another squirrel taking advantage of the kernels that have been dropped. Yes. And by the way, I have a lot more activity from the cardinals in the area. There's a cardinal couple, a Mr. and a Mrs. And I think there's also a baby cardinal that I've seen. And they seem to really like the cracked corn. Now the baby prefers the bird feeders, but the Papa Cardinal, the nice bright red one, loves those cracked corn kernels. So I see it a lot, which is really lovely because before I had the squirrel feeder, I saw it maybe once in the morning and once later in the day. It would just kind of fly in and maybe grab a few seeds and then fly out. And it was rather skittish. If I came to the window to watch, usually it would fly away. Now, those corn kernels on the ground are far enough away from the window and I guess appetizing enough for the cardinal that it sticks around and I get to watch it for a much longer period of time. Here's something that sort of I could imagine people finding endearing about squirrels. The way they curl their tail over their back. It's very cozy looking and sweet looking, isn't it? They're sort of bunched up. Cute little animal. Of course, I don't know. I think it would probably bite if it had an opportunity. I mean, it would probably run away, but, you know, squirrels are rodents related to the rat. And you just can't get around that, can you? I mean, obviously, you can see them. They love to chew and gnaw at things. I don't want those things to be my fingers or anything. I'm not going to be hand feeding any squirrel. Will not even be tempted to do that. And yes, you can tell me about your experiences hand feeding squirrels and your pet squirrel that lived in your kitchen cabinet or something like that. Not for me. I will leave that realm to you other folks. I can't remember offhand if squirrels get rabies, but whatever squirrels do get, I don't want to share in it with them. I'll just be a bystander. Oh golly, I'm really enjoying watching them. Who would have ever thought? Now, that corn cob has been pushed over just a little bit. So what I'm wondering is it, oh, something startled the squirrel. Startled the one on the ground here. Oh, but no, the one up there is back. Ah, that's what I was thinking was gonna happen. Yay, I had the video on. But look, the squirrel is hanging on with its back feet. Its body is, you know, its tail and body are a little bit on that slanty part of the trunk, and it's able to still use its two front paws to get into that corn kernel. All right. Now what? Now what, Mr. Squirrel? How are you going to get to the corn kernels? Well, he's made, oh. So he was making some of them fall off and trying to get to one. You know, what's interesting here is that he obviously has not figured out that he can just sort of swing the thing around to make the corn kernel or the corn cob that has the kernels come up to him. So I'm sorry that some of my videos look like they've been taken on shipboard. It's very difficult to hold still. You know, I find myself sort of drifting from side to side and up and down. I almost feel like I need a tripod for my phone. The thing is that there's no place that I can sit the phone and be able to get these pictures. I don't know, I guess I could get a tripod and put it outside and just leave the phone on there and then edit the video later. And here's another reason also why I end up kind of moving the phone around, because, you know, I'll see in my peripheral vision, I'll see a bird fly in, and I'll turn my head or even just move my eyes to look at it and not realize that I'm also moving my upper body or my hands. Okay, so those noises you're hearing in the background is the dog licking himself all over. Oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, I guess the one on top is top squirrel for the moment, and the other one doesn't want to challenge it. There's this TV show that my granddaughter watches called If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And there's a theme song that goes with it. And it has to do with if you give a mouse a cookie, blah, 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 blah. What do you think will happen next? And that's what I keep thinking here with the squirrel. Woo! What do I think will happen next? Oh, oh. You could see there that the polylumber squirrel feeder, polylumber is, that's what the squirrel feeder is made out of, which is recycled milk and detergent jugs. And it looks like wood, but it's really like a recycled plasticky kind of thing. And it's very slippery, very slick, not porous. So you can see that the squirrel cannot really cling on to it very well, which makes all of this the more interesting. So again, all those kernels are at the bottom. Well, look at that. He is sitting on the center pivot there, the thing that spins around, but he's figured out a way to plop his bottom down right between those two corn cobs and balance. Okay, now what? Now what? Oh. Oh my goodness, squirrels are very acrobatic, aren't they? So he's got a little system now. So he's sitting there, probably using part of the shelf and also sitting on the center spinner. Uh-oh, you're facing the wrong way. You missed it. Yes. Squirrel, you're doing a good job. You're getting a workout, aren't you? So I think that a lot that the squirrel is learning, me speaking as a person, not really having possibly the language skills or even the intellectual skills to deal with all of this, the knowledge of squirrels and all that stuff, but I feel as though he's learning a lot by physical movement rather than by figuring things out in his mind. Kind of like if you were walking somewhere and the road suddenly, took a little dip and put you off balance a little bit. You don't stop and think, oh, what do I need to do? How do I need to adjust my body to get balanced again? You can do it without consciously thinking about it. I feel as though that's what the squirrel is doing. It's just having normal squirrel physical reactions that don't involve figuring out. They just happen. Oh, look out. Ah. Oh my goodness, I just love this. I know that there are people watching this, just like me, who are waiting to see the squirrel fall off. Or, get thrown off, like spun around and whee, off it goes. We only have a few corn kernels left there, so we shall see what happens. Alrighty, so the corn cob is pushed at an angle away from the squirrel. Whoa, yes, and this is when it gets fun. Oh my gosh, this is definitely fun to watch. Okay, look. There's the cardinal. Okay, I want to see what the squirrel's gonna do. But this is always the fun part, when the corn cob is angled away from the squirrel. And what's gonna happen? What do you think will happen next? Like when you give a mouse a cookie. when you give a squirrel a corn cob? What do you think will happen next? So look at that. What is he, how is he holding on? Okay, this must not be the same squirrel that yesterday was able to hang on to the tree trunk just below the squirrel feeder and grab corn kernels. This must be a different one. Oh my gosh, I love this. So he's sort of hanging there. Okay, and now we've got the sitting on the center pivot again. Here we've got the mourning dove looking around for stuff to eat. I don't want to miss any action with the squirrel. Oh my gosh, okay. So he got thrown off. He actually fell off, but he was close to the tree trunk, so he grabbed onto that. I'm saying he, in case you're a she, whatever, it. Alrighty, what are you doing? Oh, there's another squirrel. Okay, or they're on the back side. That other squirrel is wisely, I believe, thinking, you know, I will just eat the stuff that's fallen on the ground. Okay, so this one has figured out that if it can, look, it was holding onto the corn cob with its mouth. Okay, now it's got it in its hands and its mouth. And it's got its back legs on the tree. Wow. Okay, now it's sitting up on the shelf. It's a little easier to eat that way. Less energy needed, right? I wonder where all the tufted titmice are this morning. Maybe, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh, look at that. Oh. Okay, he's defending his corn cobs. He, she, or it. Well, I guess it's a he or a she, right? Okay. I wonder where are all my Carolina chickadees and Carolina wrens and I haven't seen any blue jays recently. The squirrel is almost done with the kernels on the corn cob. Now, I did notice that one of the corn cobs looked like it had had a little portion of it chewed off. I don't know if that was intentional or if maybe it was a damaged part that was just weak and it fell off. But I'm very interested to see if the squirrel is going to chew onto the cobs themselves. Now there's the mourning dove picking among the corn. Oh, there goes the other squirrel again. Look at that. Oh, he's got corn kernels too. Is it cooperation? Is it competition? I think it's just, a matter of I'm going to jump in and get what I can. Well, that was pretty interesting. So that's the little guy that was down on the ground. Guess he's going to check and see if anything's left. So, yeah, apparently the squirrel that had been up there, or previous squirrels, had left little bits of corn kernel. Either they popped off the cobs or they were partially eaten. So it looks like this squirrel is going through whatever it can find on that lower shelf, because sometimes it picks something up and throws it off because there's nothing of worth to it that it finds. And then other times, it's chewing like it's doing now. Okay, that squirrel is unscrewing the corn cob. And it's starting to rain. He may not want to stay out there. What's he gonna do? Oh, so he's picked up corn from the ground and he's sitting up there and eating it.